Welcome to the Educators Table podcast, where early childhood educators pull up a chair, get real, start conversations, and grow together. Hi, Hannah. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so excited.
So excited.
So, happy 2 years, Hannah. This
Thank
is
you.
your 2-year anniversary of working for us, which also is Emily's birthday.
My birthday. We're back here
Yes.
again. How full circle for us, Hannah.
It's actually really amazing. Even like when I woke up this morning, I was kind of like, whoa, like I've been here for so long, but also like how much we've grown. Like I've grown individually, but everyone around me is just like incredible to like think about.
Totally. Okay, so there's a whole story behind how Hannah started working for us. So when Emily and her sister separated into different rooms, we were looking for a second person to be in the toddler room with Emily. And we had previously hired another Hannah who had an educational assistant diploma and everything. And she was awesome and we loved her. And she was doing so well. And we had interviewed a couple of people and we brought them in for like working interviews and everything. And Emily was like, Vicky, these are just like not it. They're not it. I need a Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah was so fantastic that I was like, if you could only please give me a Hannah, just let's find one more like her and it'd be perfect.
And I was struggling so hard, like looking through all of these resumes. And then Emily's sister was like, can I just like take a peek? I was like, please look at this. Cause like, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. And she was like, oh my God, Vicky, I found a Hannah. And I was like, no, stop. I was like, okay, let's open her up and see. And you literally had like the perfect resume for what we were looking for. And we were like, oh my God, did we just find another Hannah?
A literal Hannah.
A literal Hannah. And then it worked out that that we had your working interview and then your first day was Emily's birthday. And so it ended up working out perfectly and you were
my present.
My birthday gift to Emily.
Yeah, she goes, I found you a Hannah. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then she was like, she's going to start on your birthday. And I was like, well, I can't take the day off. It's fine. I want to meet this Hannah. You are my gift.
Right. She also wanted her birthday off.
I was
sorry.
I asked for it off and I was like, well, guess I'm staying. But that's fine because it worked out because I got to meet you.
I gave you the greatest gift that is our Hannah. And interestingly enough, also has an EA diploma. So we managed to find, we actually have 3 Hannahs with EA experience. So we are obsessed with Hannahs. We love Hannahs. And you have just like lived up to that.
The standard of the Hannah.
The standard of the Hannah.
The Hannah way.
Honestly.
We love the Hannah way.
No, it was really cool. And like even on my first day, like I was so nervous, but like everyone, like especially you too, like you both just made it such a smooth transition into the daycare from the school because I was working in the schools right before. But like that transition and everything, like it was just so smooth. I felt so supported and it was just a great environment to just start working in. And it still is.
What was it that made you want to get into daycare versus what you were doing before?
In schools as an EA, teachers kind of use and abuse in a way. They take advantage of that we have these skills so you're able to do all of these things in the classroom and to take over like testing and that. But that's not really what we're here for. As an EA, you're there to support the children and their learning difficulties and learning disabilities. So in the daycare, I found that in the early ages, I'm able to implement more of my skills that I have in my tool belt 24/7 and grow as an educator myself. Whereas in the school, I didn't feel like I was growing. I just felt like I was getting burnt out every day.
Mm-hmm. So how different did it feel like coming into a daycare where like there's no desks, there's no like it's a very different kind of environment to be in. So how did that feel transitioning away from an actual like school classroom?
At first, I was kind of nervous because I had worked in a day home before, but even a day home to daycare is so different and
So
is
different.
has such a different atmosphere. So I was very nervous to just like get into things and like how can I do this all through play, especially as a flight-based center. But honestly, after my first week, it excited me because I was able to use so many more things in the play 24/7 with them. It's not just while they're playing, it's while they're eating, while they're learning their independence as human beings.
And there's so much space for
So
activities.
many activities. I
Yes.
remember like pre-planning for your first week, and I was like, this needs to be the funnest week, and like I want to show her all of the things that we could do, and I want her to stay because we love Hannah's. And like I think it was a fantastic week. We had so much fun, and I
Oh
really
yeah.
wanted to set the standard of what the daycare could be, what the classroom
What it
could
could
be,
be,
because
totally.
there was some staff that maybe weren't passionate about the job, and that's why I was really lacking like a strong partner, because I wanted to have so much fun and I wanted to
Yeah.
do these great play-based activities, and nobody was aligning with that. And so I took my last hurrah and I was like, let me get a stacked week set up so that we can set the tone for what it's going to be. And ever since that week and when you started, the whole entire room has just elevated.
It really did. Yeah. It felt so different. However, then we also entered our biting epidemic
Yeah.
in that
We
room.
spoke too soon. We spoke too soon. I've at the time I've never dealt with biting, and so it was very new, like never until Hannah came. So maybe she brought that with her. But then
So sorry.
yeah.
Okay, toddlers, they're always going to humble you. Whenever you think that you're
Oh my
like
gosh.
ready and that you finally found like a path forward and a routine and everything, like they just really knock
It's
you.
never ending. I truly like it's such a cycle, especially like as they get older and when you kind of get in a routine, and maybe some kids move up and some kids move in, and then you're kind of like, whoa, we're like back at square one, and then it feels kind of rocky and you're like trying to figure out your new normal and your new routine. And so just when we had kind of figured that out, they were like, biting. I want
Just
biting.
kidding. We
Just
want
kidding.
to eat
We're
our
all
friends.
about biting right now.
Yeah.
It was
So
a
you
very
guys,
smooth 2 weeks, and then it just switch flipped
Yeah.
180.
yeah,
Let's
because
start
it
it.
wasn't even like it was just one kid that started biting. It was that
No,
all of a
Catalyst.
sudden you guys had like four or
Four.
five biters that
yeah,
were
Yeah.
just
in a class of
relentless.
12, which is
Yes.
like half the
Too
population.
many. That's almost
It's
half the
it's
class.
a lot. It felt a lot. And I think a lot of educators will also like relate to just the feeling of like you feel like you're doing so much and that you're doing everything right, but the kids are still biting and they're still struggling. And so what can we do to fix this, because you guys were working so hard and you had like activities going on and like it felt like everything should have aligned perfectly, but then you still had the behaviors.
Yeah.
So let's dig in a little bit into that, because a lot of I think a lot of educators are going to be struggling with something similar, and we managed to find our way out of it. And we very, very intentionally started on a path to where we could get the room to a place that if it ever fell back, you guys felt knowledgeable and comfortable working on it again. Hey, before we jump back into the episode, we just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you. Seriously. The fact that people are listening, sharing episodes, messaging us, and connecting with the conversations that we've had so far means so much to us. The Educators Table started because we wanted educators to feel less alone in this field. And seeing this little community already starting to grow has honestly been so, so special. And if you've been enjoying these conversations and want even more support, connection, and real life educator conversations, we'd love to invite you into the Educators Table membership community. It's $29 a month, and it's really designed to feel like an extension of the podcast, a place where educators can actually connect with each other, not just listen from the sidelines. Inside the membership, we're building a space with deeper conversations, exclusive content, reflection prompts, resources, community discussions, educator meetups, and ongoing support from people who truly get it. Real educators figuring things out together. You can find all the details on the Educators Table website. The link is in our show notes, and we'd absolutely love for you to pull up a chair and join us.
I remember feeling so guilty. That was my thing. Like, no matter how much we tried, I just felt so guilty, and like nobody wants to like be bitten and then like have to explain to a parent, and the anxiety of that, and that there was literally the same kid that got bit every day all the time, and oh my gosh, we did so much to try and prevent it, and it just felt so overwhelming. I felt so guilty, I felt so bad, but like
You almost like become their bodyguard.
literally we had, you have
You
to give
couldn't take
yourself a
your
lot of
eyes off.
grace. Give yourself a
Yeah.
lot of grace, because like you're doing your best, and it's a really hard thing to overcome and work with the children. And so get rid of that guilt, because once you get rid of that guilt, you can really start being proactive about it, right?
And I think another thing too, like I remember just feeling how guilty you felt and like having that way down. And one thing that I've even taken into my practice today is not feeling those feelings in that moment, because the
Yeah.
kids pick up on it and then they're going to start to feel kind of unsettled, and it just heightens all of the emotions in the room for no reason at all. And I think that also comes from, we had to like really think about it like personally and be like, this is actually developmentally appropriate. Like,
Yeah.
it, their kids are going to bite, unfortunately, as much as we all don't want them to, they are going to. But if we keep on thinking that, oh my goodness, this little kid's gonna bite, I know he's gonna bite, he's just gonna do it, they're gonna do it, obviously. But if we start
Totally.
thinking and giving them options of maybe what about this, and giving just a little bit more attention in a way, but like that always didn't work. So then I kind of felt like we were always going back a step. This would work today, but maybe it's not going to work tomorrow.
Yeah, totally. And like biologically, these kids are going to have the urge to bite.
Oh yeah.
All of us do have urges. It's just whether or not we can control them
Yeah.
or put it into something else that's
Yes.
not leaving marks on our friends. So one of the first things that we did was that we admitted that we needed help.
Yeah.
I think that was a big thing where it was like, we're at a point where we can't handle this on our own anymore. And we contacted Grit, which is now Kids Included. So they are a government funded program where you can sign up and have a coach assigned to your center. And that coach comes into your room and kind of helps you do like an analysis on your transitions and your activities and kind of what things look like.
Yeah.
And so we had a coach come in, and so tell us about what you guys remember about having like someone come into your room and start, I guess, like picking it apart and telling you,
Watching you. Yeah.
watching you.
Which
At
I'm all
first it
for.
was at first it was nerve-wracking. I was nervous 24/7. As soon as she'd step in the room, I was like, "Oh my goodness, she's going to judge me. She's going to think I'm awful at this. I'm not doing this right. Maybe I'm not doing this." It was just
Yeah.
a lot of, again, the self-guilt of maybe it's just my fault. Maybe I'm the reason why this is happening. But after hearing what the coach had to say and everything, and taking into detail that she's not dissing how we're doing this, she's just giving us more options into our tool belt of what could possibly work. Maybe it's an environment change, maybe it's communication change, or even when she came in and said that us as educators, we need to be giving examples to the kids. So she gave us the goal of giving 5 positive feedback a day, but for us educators. And I remember the first time having to tell Emily, Emily, I love your play. I felt so gross and weird. It's just so awkward. But
You
now
do.
I use it every single day. I tell all of my educators, even when I'm walking past, I'm like, thank you so much for doing that. That just made me so happy. And it just boosts everybody up. So, but that was very awkward at
Totally.
first.
It took a second to like
Yeah.
understand what positive descriptive feedback was and how to use it, and like not just a good job, you're doing great, like
Yeah.
just something so in detail, but like once you get the hang of it, it's so impactful. I remember that being the very first thing and me thinking like, how am I ever going to do that? But just like, how could you not? How could you not recognize the child and their accomplishments? And like, it happens all the time, every day in little ways.
And honestly, it feels so good to receive positive descriptive feedback. Like even as an adult, if you've done something and someone notices and tells you about it, it's like, oh
my goodness,
okay.
me?
Maybe
Who,
I'm,
me?
I'm gonna do that again.
Thank
like,
you.
That's good. So I think that was a huge first step of getting just like those behaviors under control. And just it also, I feel like, helped you guys just build a deeper connection with your kids in general. It wasn't just about stopping the behaviors, it was about building connection and engagement with the kids. And I think that the positive descriptive feedback was a huge way in for you guys.
Yeah, it really shifted the focus on the good versus like the mentality of like, I know they're gonna bite today, I know they're gonna do this. Like
bracing yourselves.
When we talk about like the image of a child, you really have to change your perspective because they're more than just a biter. Like they're not, that's not their title, right? And so
it really did help to focus on positive things, and then to also like look for the good things that kids were doing, because that was a huge thing too, was just when you have that one kid that bites, it feels like that's all they do. But really, when you take a step back and look at what they're doing throughout the day, there's so much more.
Yeah.
And that really like opened us up to noticing and naming a lot of the positive behaviors that they were displaying, and then really like hyping those up.
Yeah. And really looking at their interests and seeing what they liked, because that was, you know, as we've discussed in the previous episode, was how we weren't always necessarily flight, and so it wasn't always interest based, and how many behaviors are going to come out in something where the kids aren't really engaged with it. And so that was a big piece when shifting over to a play-based environment, was having that engagement so that they were so excited and having fun that they didn't have time to bite. Not always the case, because there's different scenarios.
Yes. Okay. But so once we implemented that positive descriptive feedback, it helped the room a lot, but they were still biting.
Oh yeah.
Like it was still, I think our perspective on it changed so that it didn't feel as like detrimental that there were a couple of bites a day. We kind of set ourselves up for like, this is going to happen. And we warned parents, and we were really communicative about that we were working on managing it and coming at it from like a proactive perspective, instead of just, you know, like kicking kids out or moving kids around or not letting them be in the room together. We really wanted to teach these kids like the skills so that they didn't have this happen in the future. So we tried to we put in all of the things that our kids included coach had recommended.
Yeah.
And then it even got to a point where she was stumped. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember when
she was like, guys, I'm out. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And that's when we were like, oh my gosh, like how bad is it if like your kids included, coach doesn't even know what to do. And so that was when we were like, okay, we've already reached out to one coach. What's one more?
Right.
And so then we brought in another coach who was like through a private company, I guess. I don't know if, and she came in to do a specific biting workshop for us. So you, me, and Hannah came in on a Saturday, and our kids included coach also came.
Yeah, we all had to bring.
I
do remember
that.
We all sat in the tiny green chairs in a circle.
Yeah, teeny tiny toddler chairs on the little green chairs.
We absolutely sat on
Oh
kid
yeah.
We said,
chairs.
"Kumbaya, let's figure this out together."
Yes,
Yep.
and we really like dug in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
From the vault. That was so long ago, but yeah, we did. Oh my gosh, we were desperate.
We were, yes,
Memory
because
unlocked.
it really felt like we were doing everything right, and we were following the program of Kids Included, and we were doing proactive everything, and it still like was not happening. And so that was when we had the workshop with Sarah, and what do you guys remember about it? Like, tell me about what you got out of it.
Take it away, Hannah.
Do you guys remember?
I remember it not very clearly, but I remember the very first thing that stuck out to me was she explained that she had a group, I think it was a group of adults in a classroom, and with a bunch of disabilities, and she had no toys out. And they were all engaged. She engaged with them in such a personal way, as well as like through music and all of that, that she was able to identify maybe what the thought process behind that behavior. And that also was able, for me at least, I was able to kind of look at it more that all of these behaviors and all of this biting is communication in some sort of way. They're not just biting because they're biting. They're biting because their teeth hurt. They're biting because maybe I wanted that toy, but I don't know how to talk at this moment, so I'm going to bite. It was just like a huge different perspective of how can we protect the biter from not biting, but also how can we protect the other individual who is being on the other end of the biting.
I love the way that you worded protect the biter. I
did
love
like
that
too. Yeah.
Well, I feel like
it's
in those moments, we're always like, wow, like we're just putting the blame onto the biter. But honestly, they're just trying to communicate, and there's nothing wrong with that. And
Totally.
it's developmentally appropriate, unfortunately, to be biting at this age. No one likes a biter, but we have to protect both parties and help both parties grow into the individual and independence that they can be. Because if we don't give them these resources and things out of my tool belt right now, I don't want them to grow into the older age and think that maybe in these situations, maybe they're not going to be biting at 10 years old, but they're going to have other behaviors that are their ways of communicating because they didn't have a chance to communicate.
And I think a huge part of that is shame. That if we make them feel like the villain, then they're going to internalize if I do something like wrong, or if I'm upset, or if I'm dysregulated, then they don't love me, or I'm not wanted, or I'm not welcome. And that's like a huge thing to internalize too. So we're saving all these kids so much money in therapy for the future, I'm telling you. So I think a huge takeaway from the workshop that we did with biting was, okay, first of all, she taught us how to unlatch biting. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So that was huge.
And we practiced on each other too. Like we actually practiced the movement.
Yes. Yeah. So that kids didn't if the bite was going to happen, that we could minimize the actual injury. So that was nice too, as kind of like a backup, I guess. It gave us the security of like, we know how to handle the bite when it happens. But then she also like dug into, apart from our activities. So she dug into our transitions, and she dug into what's happening when there aren't activities going on. And I think that was a big thing too with engagement. Cause I think that was a huge like growth place for you, Hannah, that I noticed, was that you really like picked up on the fact that engagement needs to happen whether they're in an activity, like an active activity or not. And so it's the process of like going from the table to the sink to wash your hands. And then suddenly like you made it a game, or you made it a song, or you made it some sort of activity where it's like, let's skip to the sink, or let's like hold hands and go to the sink, or something like that. Where we removed the opportunity that they had to maybe bite. And I think that was big too. And there's a lot of opportunity for biting when there's transitions from like going outside to inside or inside to outside or having your snowsuit put on or waiting to have your snowsuit put on, moments like that. And so you guys really like picked up on that and started doing things to engage them during those slow moments.
It was even just like the smallest things. Like an eye opener for me was let the kids help you. If I'm doing something, why can't they do it too? Why can't I offer it to them? And if they don't want to do it, that's okay. But most 9 times out of 10, they want to be doing what we're doing. So if I'm putting the beds away, why can't I ask, oh, hey, would you like to come and help? Would you like to grab the beds? It's just like giving them the opportunity to not have free time, if that kind of makes sense.
And there's actually like a word for that. Like the term is called heavy work. So we're supposed to be giving toddlers especially heavy work so that they can feel like they're helping, but it also just like really keeps them busy. And that's the most important part, is that if their teeth and their mouth are not available, then they can't bite, right?
That's true.
And then we also uncovered, I think we also, sorry, I'm trying to think of a way to put this. So we went from trying to stop biting from happening to realizing that these kids are going to bite. We just need to give them something to bite.
The chewy phase.
The
chewies. That was a big game changer for us.
So one of the things that after that workshop we did was we ordered a class set of chewies and everybody got one.
Yeah, you have to include all the kids because they just.
You had to be a cool kid and you had to have a chewy around your neck, even if you weren't a biter.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And we practiced biting them, and we like talked about it with the kids, and we said like when you feel like you need to bite, we chew, or we do that.
And we really had to redirect that, and then like we even put timers on, and I don't know, maybe every 10 minutes for a couple specific kids, we'd be like, let's bite our chewy. And then they would like bite down so hard and like stomp their feet and just like have that release, which is like, oh my goodness, like this is working. This is like a game changer. And it started to decrease little by little. Once they had something to bite, maybe even if they were engaged and maybe they had something inside themselves that they were getting pent up and they were feeling a certain kind of way, they had that chewy to just go to if they needed. And then eventually, once they like knew that it was there, because it was a new thing, and so they weren't always like focused on it, or even maybe sometimes
we had to like build the habit.
They didn't want to wear it, but once we built the habit and they knew that they could depend on that if they needed, they became so self-sufficient in that, and that was so much growth for them, and happy days for us. happy days.
I just remember doing like a sensory activity and just being like, you could see the energy in them build up, that, oh my goodness, like I need to bite something. And for them to just, the first time seeing like the kids go up and do it by themselves, like in that moment I felt like hallelujah, hallelujah. Like it was amazing.
Like, don't move. Like, look what's happening.
And then they do it, and then we're like, oh my goodness. And then like praising them about that, because they're internally realizing this is helping me. I feel better after this. I don't feel like I need to bite everybody's heads off. It's honestly, just a whole like different
pat on the back for us.
Yeah. It was a really great experience.
Giving them those skills.
Yes. And like I also remember that you guys had started teaching them strategies to do when they had like an influx of emotion. So like there was a specific kid that you could see him getting, like, he wasn't even mad, he was just excited, and his fists would ball up, and then you guys would be like, let's jump up and down, you're happy. When we're happy, we jump up and down.
I do remember that.
And that it didn't have to always be like the chewing and the biting. Like that was, the chewies for sure were like a huge strategy that helped with that. But then you guys also gave them other outlets for the feelings, because like these kids, they're all feelings. Like they come so strong and so fast that they don't know what to do with them, and often that can come out in a bite. And so you guys gave them other ways to to express it and to let it out. And like, oh, maybe like I'm angry, so I'm gonna stomp my feet, and you guys would jump up and down and stomp, or you'd clap, or there would be like other things, other places to put that energy.
Yeah, the really cool thing about, like, I remember the happy thing was that it was so infectious within the classroom. Like, if that one child, like, you know, you watch, you observe, you see that the fists kind of start clenching and the body's kind of moving a little bit, and then immediately me and Hannah are like, are you happy? Do you want to jump? And like the tone of voice that you have, and we're jumping, and all of the other toddlers like look up at you like, huh? What are you doing?
What are you
But then
doing? You're
eventually we're like,
crazy.
yay, we're so happy too. And then it was just a reset for everybody because they want to be a part of everything. So if
Oh yeah.
one kid is happy and jumping, all the kids are happy and jumping. It's just, it's infectious. And so that was a good reset, and just to be able to observe what was happening in that moment. Like, I'm so proud of us for the
I'm
work
so
that we
proud
put
of
in.
us. And I also, it didn't really, like, I didn't, it just kind of hit me, like, we built our community, like, our toddler community through all of that together. Like, even as, like, a whole class with our biters and everything, we all stuck through and we created this positive community of all of us together. We're in this together. We're gonna get through
It
this. It
was
may be a little bit
yeah.
tough, but we're
And
all gonna be positive and happy.
we didn't kick a single kid out for that. I think that that's like a huge thing that comes in daycares, because even when I've had daycare interviews and tours and everything, people always ask me, what's your biting policy? How many strikes until they get kicked out? And I'm like, oh my
Mm,
gosh, what a difficult place to be in,
Yeah. How
where
yeah,
about like you mental shift, and like
yeah,
it's not about kicking out, it's about having skilled, educated educators.
yes, that know how to
yeah,
deal with it and that are willing to approach it in the positive way that you guys did, and instead of counting down until we can kick out a kid reasonably, it's what are we doing to put these to help build these skills that these kids are now going to carry like for the rest of their lives into every
yeah.
classroom. They now have skills and strategies. And I mean, like, we can't, as adults, we can't always have like chewies on us where we're like biting things, but you could if you needed to. But we started like building those strategies, and as they get older they can build new ones, and they have the skills in place now, and the expectation that you're not rejected just because you have big feelings, but
Oh
that
yeah.
you are accepted and you're allowed to
It's
have those
okay to
feelings.
feel this way, especially at 2 years old when you're going through so many developmental things. You're learning to talk, you're learning animals, you're learning colors. Like your brain is on fire. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And for them to feel okay to feel overwhelmed was a really huge thing. And even today, like looking back at our biters, they have so many skills that we taught them in
So many
toddler
skills.
that it just makes me so happy to walk into the room and see them, that maybe he's a little bit upset right now, but he's using his deep breaths. He's using those stomping elephant feet still back from when he was 2 years old. So
My
over a year.
favorite, yeah, my favorite memory, well, one of, because there's so many, but was that this child that we had worked so hard with on the biting and the behavior regulation and like all of the things. I remember as he got a little bit older, I was building magnet tiles, and you know, this kid that would normally bite or be so upset or scream or whatever, I was building magnet tiles and somebody came and knocked it over. And I was so pissed. I was so mad. Like, didn't let
Emily
it
was having
show,
big
but I was like,
emotions.
I worked so hard on this. How dare you? And you know, he must have saw it in my face, and immediately he was like, it's okay. We can build it again. And he was
Yeah.
comforting me, and it was just a reflection of the work that we had done, and that now
Yeah.
he has those skills and he can share those skills with his peers and his
Yes.
educators, and he feels confident in those. It's the best reward to see that in
That's
play.
such a cool like modeling moment.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? You're right. We can build it again, and I don't have to be upset. Just I could take deep breaths. I can stomp my feet. It's not the end of the world.
Totally, totally. And so once we kind of like got through the trenches of that and over onto the other side, we were finally at a point where we could start building play skills, because that was a huge thing too, was that what our kids included coach had kind of determined was that a lot of the kids in the room didn't have communication or play skills. And so she was trying to help us build those, but we weren't quite ready for it. Mm-hmm. So that's why nothing was working, and we just felt like we were hitting a wall. And so we needed to do that first step of like bringing in the strategies to put their feelings somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then we were finally at a point where we could start building upwards, because it wasn't enough to just stop the biting. Like that was great, but we had to keep building up from there. And so that was where we really, really started focusing on modeling. So like how from your like magnet tile story, mm-hmm. That we were doing a lot of modeling. I remember so many afternoons sitting on the floor by the table building magnet tile houses with a few of the kids and being like, oh no, it fell down, let's rebuild it,
build it again,
let's build it again. Yeah. And there was a lot of just like setting up the kids for
disappointment, failure.
I hate to say that it's like almost like gaslighting, but like but we straight up were creating these scenarios where something would get broken or knocked down, or that something wouldn't go their way,
because it doesn't in life.
It doesn't.
It's the real world, baby.
And we were putting these kids into these situations so that we could help them navigate out of them. And I think that was really big too. And that was something that I had experimented a lot on my son at home, because he was also a part of this whole generation of toddler room. So he was in that toddler room too. And so I was doing a lot of that modeling at home and disappointing him. so that we could have strategies to get around it. And now, a year and a half later, 2 years later almost, he's still using those skills and demonstrating the modeling that we did. Like literally the other night he was building magnet tiles with his dad, and they had put remote control cars inside. And so then they were like, okay, now it's time to break out. And Jace was like, Daddy, our houses are going to break now, but that's okay. I was like, oh, good job.
That's
and he's like, we
cute.
can just rebuild it after. It's okay if they get broken. You don't have to be sad. And his dad's like, okay, I won't be.
Trust
but
me.
he's like, thanks, that's so good. And so like those skills and like the modeling that we helped them with, it really like kept going.
It does, and it grows with them in all of the stages that they are in their life, from being in toddler to junior preschool, kindergarten. Like it's just ever developing. It's so cool that it starts with us.
Okay, we wanted to quickly pop in and tell you about something we're really excited about. On May 28th, we are officially hosting the Educators Table launch party at Utopia Cafe and Play in Edmonton, Alberta, and we would absolutely love for you to come and celebrate with us. Tickets are only $24 and include a handcrafted beverage and light snacks from the cafe. And honestly, if you haven't been to Utopia yet, it is such a cool place. Think trendy cafe meets beautiful modern play space, amazing handcrafted drinks, cozy aesthetic, and a huge play area where kids can climb and explore, while adults actually get to sit down and enjoy a coffee and conversation. So yes, bring your kids. They are absolutely welcome to come along too. It's going to be a really fun and relaxed evening with good conversations, community, lots of laughs, and a chance to celebrate the official launch of the podcast and membership community together. And the part that we're most excited about, we are going to be recording a live podcast segment during the event, and we're choosing one podcast listener attending the launch party to join us as a guest and share some of their experiences in the field. We'll also be live streaming that 30-minute podcast segment on TikTok and YouTube, which honestly feels equal parts exciting and terrifying. And attendees may or may not get a little surprise while they're there too. If you want to come, the registration link is in the show notes. And when you sign up, you can check off if you'd be interested in being our live podcast guest. This is going to be such a cool, unique experience. You guys don't want to miss it. We seriously cannot wait to meet some of you in person. May 28th, 6:30 p.m., Utopia Cafe and Play. Get your tickets. Be there.
Is there any story that you have, Hannah, where, you know, kind of similar to my Magnetal story, where it was kind of a success story for you and something that you worked really hard on and you saw success in that?
One thing that I did see, one really good story is there was this child in our class, and he was very energetic, very movement, very just needed to keep going, go, 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 go. So one day I think we had a chia seed swamp, and we were just devoured. The whole room was chia seeds everywhere. And they're the little things that are going to stick to every little clothes, every little thing. And to be honest, that was a little bit of my nightmare because I had to clean up all the chia seeds. But then next thing
days.
They do.
But it's okay.
And the next thing I knew, I saw a licensing officer at my door, and I was like, perfect. But then she came into the classroom, and that little ball of energy child just decided in that moment that she wanted to play with me. She wanted to ask me to play with her. So I sat at this chia seed swamp as my room was covered in chia seeds, and I sat there and I played. And she had the biggest smile on her face, the biggest emotions of joy and happiness. And I remember going out of the classroom and talking with the licensing officer, and the first thing that she had said was that during the chia seed swamp, that engagement that she saw through that very energetic child would have never have happened if I didn't take the time to get onto her level and to play with her. So ever since that moment, it's just been, I take my time to get involved in their play. Even if I'm just stepping into the classroom for a few seconds and I see they're playing Spider-Man, I'm going to join in on the play and pew, pew, pew. I want the spider webs. Oh no, you got me. I'm down on the floor. Just getting that little bit of excited about their play. I want to get excited, and it teaches them to enjoy and want to invite us, because if we don't want to, they're not going to invite us. They don't want to share. But if we show that little engagement, enjoyment in their play, letting them show us through their play is just an incredible piece.
Aww.
And what a fun way for you to show up to work like that too, because that really, like, it makes the day so much better.
It goes by so fast. Like,
when you're constantly playing.
They have brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to be a part of it and see where it could take you, especially as they grow over the years and you get to see their personalities and how their interests develop. It's so much fun. And
to not have to be the one who, like, starts the game, but to be able to join in on their play. So cool as an educator to not have to plan.
No.
to let them take the lead and really do it.
Yeah, in fact, we love when things don't go to plan because, you know, if they're going to present something that they're passionate about, then we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Kick my activity to the side. We're not doing that
activity?
today. We're going to do what you want to do. Yeah.
Exactly. No biting for anybody. We're all having fun.
So, Hannah, after we had gotten out of the biting stage, so there was like a time where you guys were like, oh my God, we did it. We're free. The biting is over. Hallelujah. This is amazing. And there was so much like positive, and you guys were teaching play skills, and there was communication happening. And like those kids in the toddler room, like their words were getting so good too. Like their speech had exploded because we were doing so much modeling. Listen, Emily came to my office and Emily said, they just grew out of it. Hannah, how do you feel about that?
They just grew out of it.
I had a hard time accepting that
Oh,
we did all of that work, and Vicky had to be like, Emily, what? We spent so many months, and I was like, you know what? They just grew out of it one day. They just
it didn't have
stopped.
anything to do with all the work
No,
that we did.
nothing, none of the meetings, none of the work. It's just like, I don't know. They just kind of stopped. They grew out of it. But oh my gosh,
Now
like,
that I
things like
kind of
that.
think about it, it kind of felt like that. Like one day
Because it
it
was
kind
so
of just
long.
it
It did.
just
It
It was a
took a
stopped.
long
long time.
It
process.
It
was
took a couple of
months
months
and
that it
months
took.
of
Okay,
work.
to
Yeah.
be fair, I'm not wrong. Because they they grow, like they're in our class
They
for
do.
like a year, and so
Hmm.
eventually they are growing, things are happening, pathways are developing, and like it is
But
us.
but again, the behavior might just shift into something else, right? And
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
that was such a huge lesson for you guys as educators as well, to take a pause and
Yeah.
reflect and be like, we did this.
Hmm.
We had a huge part in these kids' growth. And I think that also was a really big thing for you and
Yeah.
for Hannah as well, to realize that you guys have this huge ability to impact the lives of these kids. And we know that that in the next classroom up, in the junior preschool room, when we get new kids that didn't go through the toddler room with you guys, that their behaviors come out in other ways.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But the toddlers that you guys raised through that little epidemic that we had, they have a unique set of skills that the other kids their age don't have.
That is so interesting.
Yes.
It's so interesting to think of the concept of their community too, and
Hmm.
like how they grow up together. It's so cool.
Yeah. And even someone, I don't know who it was, but someone had posted a picture of like a group of 5 of them that had grown up in the toddler room together, and like they've been together literally since the baby room.
Like their whole
And I was like,
life.
oh my gosh, these kids, like they have this unbreakable bond to each
Hmm.
other that is so like unique and special. And like it's so crazy to even like fathom how much they've gone through together, and that they
And
may be very.
they show it in their play every single day, especially the ones that have moved up together. Like once they start to play and say someone gets upset right away, the whole group comes together and they're just like, it's okay. I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. Do you need your water bottle? Do you need a baby? What can I do to help? They all honestly
Gentle
come
hands, yeah.
together. And especially when they're playing and say something, maybe someone accidentally gets hurt, right away they're like, I did not mean to. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And then they'll go straight to the teacher and be like, hey, this kid's upset. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to. It was an accident. How can I help you help them? They always want to help and they always want to try and connect with them. And it's not even just with the ones that grew up together. It's starting, everyone's starting to feed off of it because of that such strong sense of community between those kids.
That culture that they've really developed.
Yeah.
Like, how special is that? That is so cool. And so I think it's so important for educators that are maybe in the trenches right now of biting and of behaviors and all that, that there's a way out, and
Absolutely.
that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that there, it's like you don't have to feel guilty for needing help and for reaching out to people outside of your classroom, and that there are like resources out there that can make this so much easier and better, and that there's a way out, and that you guys have such an instrumental role in this, and that all of these kids have so much that is special inside of them that needs to not be overshadowed by them biting. Or
Protect the biter and protect the other person. We have to give everyone the validation that they deserve and the listening ear that they deserve. Even though they're biting, they're communicating through their biting. And I think that's another way. We didn't just focus on the biting, we went into how do we play with these kids, and that gave them just so much more communication tools that they didn't need to bite in the end because they had the communication, they felt heard, they felt seen by everyone in that little community.
Yeah, you really have to relationship build with these children. It's a huge thing. You know, you could ABC track and find the underlying issue, but like they need you. They want your attention. They want the security. They need to know that they're safe. And so you have to take the time to build the relationships. You have to be consistent because you're going to feel like there's days that it's not working and you're a failure and that you're not doing anything. But it's not true, and not every day is the same day, and everybody knows that. That is the beautiful thing about this field, is that no day is the same. And so you have to be consistent on it no matter what.
And that you just keep showing up, like, for each other, like,
Yeah.
for the two of you guys, like, going through that experience bonded you guys in a way that no other educators have.
Yeah.
And it bonded you to your kids, and it bonded the kids to each other. And I think that that is just like such a testament to just like the power of play and the power of connection and the power that like flight and play-based learning can have on a daycare community.
I think that's really powerful.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're listening on your lunch break, on your commute, during nap time setup, or hiding in the bathroom for a moment of peace, we appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. You can find the Educators Table podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And because we just can't get enough of Hannah, we're continuing our conversation with her, but we're shifting gears a little bit and diving into potty training in daycare. The struggles, the funny moments, and what actually helps make the process smoother for everyone involved. We'll see you next Friday.